If you have a challenged attention span, lock in, all right? For your own sake. And you might just have a chance to make it. If you don't want to and think risk management is boring, you can click off and you can go watch a trendline strategy or whatever. All right, now that all the helpless cases are gone, I'm going to tell you a story first. And then I'll get into some actionable risk management that I haven't really seen talked about yet. I know this guy who's also heavily into trading. I don't know if he still is. I don't speak to him anymore. But for his sake, I hope he's not. He was terrible at it, to the point that it is impressive to be that bad, because he wouldn't listen. This guy, I got him into trading, and the last time I spoke to him, he was still trying to flip accounts and trade off of indicators like an idiot. Mind you, at that time, he'd been trading for like 4 or 5 years because he had this fantasy, unrealistic view that I think a lot of people have. He was using bots and signals and trying to find the right indicator, which is, you can't outsource these things. And I would never recommend using it. One thing I told him, and will tell other people, is to not focus on the dollar gain, but the percentage instead. That will help you with small balances and large balances when you get up there, because the percentages, they stay the same. Although I can understand that if you're trading a $20 account, risking the standard 1% on a 1 to 2, having a target of 40 cents isn't motivating. But he wouldn't listen to me. You can't save somebody that doesn't want to be saved. So what about me? How much have I lost personally? When I went live for the first time, and this was in like 2022, the first time I went live after I felt like I was ready, no joke, no bullshit, my loss was about 10 bucks before I decided that I wasn't ready to trade live yet. So why only 10 bucks instead of 10 grand? Because you don't have to do something to know it's a bad idea. I don't have to stick my hand in a pot of boiling water to know it hurts. You can think of these things and act accordingly. And by managing my risk, my downside, when I was still learning this, by going back to the drawing board on demo, instead of trying to trade live and brute force the same thing over and over and over and over again, expecting things to change. That's the definition of insanity, by the way, if you didn't know. That was risk management. It doesn't just end at a 1% stop loss. You can do way more to cap your downside risk. Handling emotions is also important. Coming back to the person in the first story of this video, he had none of that. And he eventually blew his entire account every time, no exceptions. You need to be emotionally flat to do well. Consistently. Keyword consistently. You need to be as robotic and binary as possible without actually outsourcing it to a machine, bot, or quote unquote AI. I will never use a trading bot or a trading AI, as they like to call it, because of a very simple slide from the IBM trading manual from 1979. It states that a computer can never be held accountable. Therefore, a computer must never make a management decision. That is still very true to this day, especially this day. Even though they're collectively pouring in money by the trillions with a T to try and make it something it's not, generative AI or LLMs are completely useless. And I will never allow any program to make my trades for me. And neither should you. You should make your own decisions. And this doesn't just apply to trading either. Back to the emotions. A quick and easy way to see if you're not managing risk well is if you can't sleep well at night. Really simple. I used to sleep terribly with positions open, which tells you what? I'm sizing too big, risking too much. Really simple. So I sized smaller and I slept just fine. Exactly how much will vary from person to person, but being able to leave your positions alone is a good thing. Another thing I also do, which I think is vital and stupid simple, you can chunk your capital. What do I mean with that? It means that you are only using a portion of your trading capital to actively trade with, and you keep the rest somewhere else. What that does is completely eliminate tail risk. Let me give you an example. Imagine you have two imaginary people. Person A chunked his capital and deposited a small chunk to the brokerage. Person B didn't and deposited the whole sum to make more money. In this example, they are both trading on a unregulated offshore brokerage. Everything's going fine until servers don't respond. Okay. Turns out the firm has been dissolved without notice. Happens all the time. Person A loses the small chunk he deposited. Whatever. Big deal. Occupational hazard. Person B loses all of his capital. He is fucked. What happened? He didn't manage risk. Risk doesn't just come from your end. And even if you're doing everything right, other factors outside your control are still inherently risky. If you're driving on the road, doing everything right, some idiot can still crash into your car. Manage your risk. Chunking your capital is something I would highly suggest doing, especially with unregulated brokerage accounts. But the same principle also applies to crypto, for example. That is my take on the lesser talked about aspect of managing risk. I hope that clears some things up. If it is still unclear, leave a comment. You can ask your questions in the comments below. They are open. So long story short, manage your risk well and you will be just fine.